welcome to the 2023 Silver Circle Ceremony. I'm Frances Hernandez. I'm the first Vice President of the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, Suncoast Chapter, and I'm honored to celebrate this remarkable milestone with all of you this afternoon. Before we begin, I would like to ask members of the NATA Suncoast Chapter Board of Governors who are here this afternoon to please stand up. And thank you for all the work you do for this chapter. Come on, don't be shy. Today, we celebrate not only excellence and distinction in your contributions to the television industry, we also celebrate your contributions to the community as mentors, educators, and volunteers. And on the subject of mentorship, this seems to be a full circle moment. We just had our Student Production Awards a couple of days ago. And seeing the students' outstanding work, we know many of those students not only grew up watching all of you, looking up to you or your work, some even were mentored by you. And they are now choosing a career in the industry, as a result carrying on the legacy you have established over the span of your careers. The Suncoast Chapter of the National Academy of Television and Science is delighted to celebrate your accomplishments and contributions. And we are so proud to recognize you, our honorees, for 25 years or more of dedication to the television profession. This is the 35th annual Silver Circle celebration, and we are delighted this afternoon to add 7 more honorees this year. Also, not least, for the first time at a local silver ceremony, we will be honoring one of you, one of our 2 Gold Circle recipients, Billy John Barnes. Yay. Congratulations to all of this year's recipients. Let's get started. Please welcome our first presenter of the afternoon, Ibel Alfaro Calvo, Vice President of Programming and Production, Telemundo Deportes, Miami, Florida.
Thank you. Good afternoon. It's truly an honor for me to be here presenting my sister, Arlie Alfaro. Thank you to the Academy for recognizing her. Arlie began her career in Palm Beach, and from there she's been captivating Hispanic audience in Miami, New York, and in nationwide. Her work ethic is truly second to none. Whether it's covering a natural disaster or a education story or a live shot, she really puts in all of her passion, determination, and devotion into every story. From a very young age, Arlie taught me to be passionate about my career. She is the reason why I'm standing here today. And in return, I think I taught her a thing or two about sports. I don't know, Henry would be able to tell us that. Arlie, I want to thank you for being my inspiration and my hero. And I know that your husband and my niece and my nephew, our parents and our family are very proud of you. And we can't wait to see what other accomplishments you will gain.
Arlie Alfaro is an esteemed journalist who for over 25 years has reported the stories that impact the Spanish-speaking community. Before joining WSCV, she worked as an assignment editor, producer, reporter, and anchor at Univision and its affiliate in New York City.
I just want you to know that I've known Arlie for 20 years. With the last 12, 15 years, we've been working together here at Telemundo. She is a special kind of reporter. She's accurate, dependable, and clean script. Can't say that about everybody. If you want something done right, you want something done on time, you can count on her.
Arlie has been a valued member of Telemundo 51 and has consistently brought her expertise to cover a wide range of stories, from health, children, and family matters to being at the forefront of the station's multiple newscasts, delivering the latest and most important news stories.
Les informó Arlie Alfaro.
She covers a myriad of things for us, but she's an education specialist, and people may not know this, and I may be spilling the beans, but she's also studying to be a psychologist. I think that is a fabulous profession, and it underlies everything that she has been doing and working with the education system in South Florida.
Arlie's commitment to storytelling has cemented her as one of the most outstanding reporters in the field. Her exceptional coverage of the challenges and impacts of the pandemic on education has also been widely recognized.
Arlie, congratulations on this well-deserved recognition. Your hard work, dedication, and passion has brought you to this point in your career. Thank you for being my biggest inspiration and my role model. I'm so proud of you. Congratulations.
Arlie recognizes the importance of staying connected to her roots and highlights issues that affect the local Nicaraguan population.
Congratulations, my beloved daughter. We are proud of this recognition, your mother, your sister, and myself. For this award shows that our family effort coming to this country has been one more time crowned with success. I love you so much.
Arlie, with my heart full of love, I want to congratulate you for all the goals you have achieved as a woman, as a mother, as a daughter, as a professional. I love you so much. Congratulations.
It is with great honor that we congratulate Arlie Alfaro on becoming a member of the South Florida Emmy Silver Circle, a well-deserved recognition for her outstanding contributions to the field of journalism.
I had a little foot injury this week, so I'm a little slow, but I wouldn't miss this for the world, so I wanted to be here for sure. And thank you to my sister for those beautiful words and that video. Wow, I'm a little emotional. Thank you all. But that video brings back memories. Thank you to the Channel 51 creative team for putting it together, to Fanny, Hector Vieira, and Maria Khalil, and of course our GM, George Carballo, who is also part of the Silver Circle. I thought a lot about what I wanted to say today. And really, in summary, thank you. Thank you to the Academy for the recognition, to my boss, to my bosses, two bosses here today, Helga, who many of you know, and Maria also. Helga is responsible for the career of many of us being here. She shaped the career of many reporters in the Hispanic media. I'm one of them. And when she first came to Telemundo, a lot of my colleagues would ask, what is she like? What does she expect from us? And all of a sudden I had the story on the new boss, And the story is that she is very, very passionate about her work. She's a leader, she's very fair, and she is the reason why so many of us have made Channel 51 #1 today. And also Maria has, she's gone through both of my pregnancies. I thank her for being able to be a reporter and a mom at the same time, because she knows everything that goes on with my family, but that's the type of support that we need, as well as Anna, my colleague Anna, who's also my friend, and she knows everything about juggling being a mom and a journalist. That type of support is, what makes us 25 years later, actually it'll be 30 for me next year. So that's what it takes, that type of support. And of course my husband, Henry, who's not in the business, he's in banking and technology, but he loves news, thank goodness, because he understands the dynamic of this. He knows what it takes to cover a hurricane. One time he gave me I said, everyone calls their significant other during hurricane coverage. How come you don't call me? He's like, I see you on TV, so I know you're okay. And I think I was with Armando Pico covering that one time when I was over at 23. And of course, my children are here, my parents. Thank you, Mommy and Papi. They're both teachers from Nicaragua. My dad was a college professor. And thank you to them for everything they taught us. One of the reasons why I went to journalism was because I figured it was a way to get everyone educated in a large portion and to talk to people and tell them what they needed to know, what was best for their life to know. And that's why I did it. So they went through a hard time when we were little, but thank goodness things are much better now. Thank you. My dad. So, in summary, thank you for everyone that knows me and knows how passionate I've been about my work. I hope that in the past I've inspired others. And the business has changed. We all know it. After 25 years, we all know how much has changed. But I think the commitment and the love for news is still the same. Thank you.
Congratulations, Arlie. Well deserved. It is my pleasure to introduce the next presenters. Greg Hyman, Director of Business Development, Site Impact, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and Stephen Hyman, Senior Project Manager, Florida Power and Light, Jupiter, Florida.
Hi, I'm Greg Hyman. Hey, good afternoon. I'm Steven. We're two of Bruce's four boys. We have our third brother, Timmy, out there. He's one of the shyer ones, so didn't want to get up here with us. But it's our honor and privilege to be here today to celebrate this achievement for our father.
Growing up, our grandparents would tell us stories about our dad and his passion for broadcasting. Apparently, it goes way back to when he was very young, maybe as young as 6 years old. He would sit in his room with his Radio Shack realistic reel-to-reel tape recorder and a copy of the Philadelphia Bulletin and pretend he was on air reading the news. Supposedly, those tapes still exist today and are stashed away in storage closet along with a lot of other memorabilia that he thinks we will one day want. Sorry to disappoint you, Dad. Anything that you may have thought was nostalgic to you has already likely been reappropriated, whether you know it or not, like that Mickey Mantle baseball that you once had.
I know that through the years, our dad enjoyed living out his dream, never quite believing the opportunities that he would be afforded. He said that while professional on the outside, on the inside he often felt like a giddy kid who couldn't believe where life was taking him. To my brothers and me, he was just dad. TV news was just what he did. But to those who watched him, he was a local celebrity. Outside of work, he would show up at our school and sporting events, even when he moved 1,000 miles away. Because of circumstances, he made us his priority, and that is what was important to us.
Well, that, along with special access to events, or if he can arrange a meet and greet with other celebrities, like his main man crush, Michael Bublé, which is currently his ringtone.
So it certainly does come with some perks, like one of my personal favorites when he got us backstage to meet his buddy Rob Schneider. So getting to call him Dad is beneficial.
Speaking of celebrities, though, those of you from Orlando here tonight will love this. My brother Tim, the shy one currently in the crowd, he'd always keep my dad in check by telling him, "I love you, Dad, and I think you're great, but you're no Bob Upsall."
So, being a journalist often comes with certain responsibilities. On air, you have to maintain your political objectivity. With us, it's a different story, and while he and I don't see eye to eye politically, it provides endless entertainment when I push his buttons about being a liberal media. We get into heated debates, and those of you that know Bruce know how strong-minded he can be. And if you don't know, just ask him frankly about anything, and you're sure to find out.
All kidding aside, we appreciate our dad's dedication to broadcasting journalism and maintaining integrity in reporting the news. It's an integrity that he instilled in us. I know in today's tumultuous and often acrimonious news and political environment, it's often difficult to navigate those waters.
Someone used a word finder for some of these there. But Dad, and each of you Silver Circle Award winners here tonight best embody the spirit of journalism that solidifies a foundation that real news people will work to continue securing, despite efforts by other organizations that profess to be purveyors of news who try and crack it.
Thank you to the Board of Governors of the Suncoast Chapter of the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences for recognizing a man who will tell you the proudest accomplishments of his career is that of being a dad, our dad. We are proud to share this moment and present our dad the Silver Circle Award.
But first, let's take a quick look at his highlight and careers over the year.
Hi, I'm Bruce's wife, Christy. Here are some brief highlights of Bruce's wonderful career. Let me start at the beginning. Bruce didn't start out in television, and let me explain why. As a child, he looked like young Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory. If you look at a couple of his high school photos, you'll see why radio was the obvious choice. As a teenager, he was hanging out at a radio station. The scheduled DJ couldn't go on. Bruce was hanging out, as he often did, just in case he could get on air. Well, the station owner had no choice but to let the then almost 15-year-old go on. He told him to use the name just in case. The big break came when he was hired as a helicopter traffic reporter. Still in his teens, he was literally heard by hundreds of thousands on virtually every radio station in Philly. And after college, Bruce moved to Albuquerque, then Tucson, doing radio news and talk. During a commercial break on his radio talk show, his guest, a TV GM, asked Bruce what he knew about weather. Bruce answered, "I know when it rains, you get wet." So he was hired as a TV weatherman. And about a year later, he made the transition to TV news at a competing station in Tucson. Fast forward a couple of years, Bruce made his first move to Florida, working as the main anchor at the NBC affiliate West TV. He loved covering shuttle launches and landings at the Cape. It became a regular field anchoring assignment. He also covered the presidential political conventions. Well, as it happens in television, the station was sold. The new owner wanted to bring in a new anchor. No worries, Jim Payne, it wasn't you. So Bruce moved back to his hometown, Philly. He became the main anchor at KYW-TV. Among the first assignments was going back to the future. He revisited the old neighborhood and saw how it changed through the eyes of Nate the barber. Nate gave Bruce his first haircut. It was a dream come true for his mom and dad, their little boy on TV. During his tenure, he interviewed President George Bush. It was an exclusive one-on-one interview at the White House. And if that wasn't highlight enough, in the middle of the interview, the president asked if he minded stopping for a moment. His dog Rover had to pee. What was Bruce going to say? No? He invited Bruce to come along to take the dog for a walk. Check this out. Bruce also scored an exclusive interview with President Bill Clinton. He also interviewed world leaders, among them the head of the former Soviet Union and Israel's prime minister. But despite all the big market opportunities, Bruce missed his 4 boys and wanted to get back to Florida. Weekends with them just wasn't enough. So an opening came up at ABC 25, a new startup in Jacksonville. Back in the Sunshine State, he got to soar with the Navy's elite Blue Angels in an FA-18 Hornet and pulled 9 Gs. Well, after 2.5 years, the station was sold. It presented a dilemma: stay or go. Bruce went back to Florida for a reason. That's when the door of opportunity opened at WJXT. Among the assignments, traveling to Gitmo, where he gained unprecedented access to interviews and the amazing scene of terrorist prisoners praying. He embedded with a group of soldiers for 4 days of training at Camp Blanding. They were preparing to fight in the Middle East. At the start, the Master Sergeant asked him if he had to give him preferential treatment. Bruce said no. The very first night he learned, if it ain't raining, it ain't training. That was at 2:30 in the morning, and Bruce survived. If being in the trenches wasn't enough, the daredevil in him had Bruce jumping out of the back of a C-130 with the elite skydiving team, the British Red Devils. He journeyed twice to Vietnam to tell the compelling story of local doctors performing medical miracles. They literally saved faces and changed lives. And there are some great perks becoming close with celebs like Michael Bublé. And there was a bittersweet reunion with his college bud, Bob Saget. It was the last interview Bob would do. Bob died 36 hours later. He and Bruce were supposed to reunite the following weekend in West Palm. They never did. It took an emotional toll on Bruce, as did a story about his brother Pete, who passed away from cancer last year. Bruce did a cancer screening story 24 hours after Pete died to fulfill a promise. Viewers saw him get his colonoscopy. Ask him and he'll tell you about the hundreds of calls and emails he got from people who told him thanks. Thanks because now I'm not afraid to get a colonoscopy. And he'll tell you more than anything he's done in his career. The thing he is most proud of is his family. We have 7 kids, also 5 grandchildren, and 2 on the way, and 4-legged kids, Carly and Chloe. Yep, a real-life Brady Bunch. And that is but a glimpse of Bruce Hamilton's life.
Christy still hasn't forgiven me for asking her to do that. By the way, who has the Mickey Mantle ball? You don't want the photo of Michael Bublé where he's written, "God, we're effing good looking"? You think I'm kidding?
I might have that already too.
Oh gosh, I gotta go looking for it. Hey, thank you guys, love you. And I'm not kidding, my family has been my support throughout everything. So, I can't tell you how much I love them, and without them, I wouldn't get to do what I have done throughout my life. And I look back through my career, and I feel like a kid living a dream. That said, I go back to the early days in television, and I think back to two men who helped shape my life. Jay Watson was my first general manager when I started doing TV news. And he pulled me aside and he said, I'm going to give you one key piece of advice. And it's don't let anybody ever know that you don't know how to do something, and you'll survive. And he was right. You know, if I had to fake it, I did. And I went, and this is long before Google, figure it out. And then Bill Watson was my first television news director. Bill stood about 4'11", and he chewed this cigar that I swear he never smoked. And I'd come back from a story, and if something went wrong, he'd look at me and he'd never say anything. And I'd better darn well know what went wrong and figure out to make sure that it never happened again. And if something happened that I thought was right, I'd better be able to rationalize why I thought it was right and explain it to him. And that demeanor that he showed me served me well throughout my years as well. Arlie talked about the fact that the business has changed throughout the years, and nothing could be more right. I think it was the sage German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche who said, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And the past 5 or 6 years in broadcast news certainly hasn't killed me yet, but it has made me, and I'm sure many of you, stronger as well. And the forecasters have said that broadcast news is dying, and boy, are they wrong. You know, OTT, streaming, VOD, web, they all said that it's going to kill broadcast news. Well, broadcast news, I think, is stronger than ever. And for those of us who have lived the better part of our lives in the world of broadcast news are here to make sure that sound broadcast journalism and the foundation that it's built on is going to continue to go on, because there are so many people that rely on it and that rely on us to bring them the truth and the sound principle of what is the daily news of our lives. To the Board of Governors, thank you so much for this beautiful award. In many ways, I feel like I'm hearing a eulogy while I'm still alive. It means so much to me. Thank you to my 4 boys. Christy and I have 7 kids, 7 grandchildren. Jana, who's sitting back there, is about to have a baby August 25th. We just had another grandbaby 2 days ago. Our family continues to grow. They mean everything. Christy, even though I forced you to do that, forgive me. I love you more than anything. Thank you for all your love and support. And thank you to everybody here. And Jim Payne, I hear you're retiring. You must get paid a hell of a lot more than I did when I was at West, because I ain't ever going to be able to afford to retire. Thank you, everybody. To all the others who are getting the award today, congratulations to you.
Congratulations, Bruce. Well deserved. Please welcome our next presenter of the afternoon, Craig Stevens, anchor WSVN TV, Miami, Florida.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Francis. And I should, in full disclosure, as the Suncoast Chapter's second vice president, offer my congratulations to all of the honorees today. It's great to have you in the fraternity that is the Silver Circle. Now, having worked on South Florida television for more than 30 years, our next recipient, for many of you, probably does not need much in the way of an introduction. But I'm happy to have a chance to share a few things about my colleague and, more importantly, my dear friend, Lynn Martinez. It was a passion to write that led her in a direction she wasn't sure, but she knew she loved to write. Ultimately, that led her to J School at Webster University, to intern at KSDK Channel 5, the powerhouse in St. Louis. She graduated. It sent her to Michigan's Upper Peninsula, which before she probably could not have found on a map. But she moved, and she wrote and edited and produced and anchored her newscasts every day. And it was that wide range of skills that management at WSVN found appealing. And they brought her to South Florida, a nice change from Upper Peninsula, Michigan, in 1991. Now, she will tell you, in fact, she may in a couple of minutes, she's not sure how she landed that job, what with scant experience. But for what she lacked, I hear the giggle, for what she lacked in resume at the time, boy, she sure made up for that in determination and grit and drive. In those early days for her at Channel 7, I arrived a few months later, and I marveled watching her in action. A typical day for Lynn, she would anchor the early morning news. I wrote here most days, no, every day. After the morning news, she would run out to cover a story, report it for the afternoon newscasts, then get a tap on her shoulder that one of the evening anchors wasn't available or out sick or stuck in traffic, so we need you to anchor the 5 and the 6. Mind you, she was on the air at 6 a.m. that day. She did those 15-hour days all the time, and she did them with ease and seemingly without exhaustion. I also know she was a dogged reporter. She wasn't the anchor who wanted to be on TV. She liked being in the field. She was good in the field. And I was always amazed at how she could take, when you're a general assignment reporter, as many of you know, the most mundane material and make them interesting. She would find what made the characters in her stories tick. Why should I care about this story? Every single time. They were creative, they were compelling. Management noticed she had a flair in the field and the desk, and she rapidly climbed through our ranks on the anchor desk, mornings, weekend evenings, weeknights, and that same sensibility that guided her in the field flourished on the desk. And they noticed something else, and Mom and Dad, you're here. Her razor-sharp wit, slightly biting. Mom and Dad, as you can probably attest, like her husband, Lynn is always ready with a comeback. That made her perfectly suited for our nightly entertainment program, Deco Drive. Perhaps you've seen it. Several people have tried. Few, if any, have enjoyed the success that she has. And you think about it, to anchor 3 news programs, then later that same evening to co-host a program that someone once described as news on steroids, or news with an attitude, for most people would be a recipe for failure or embarrassment. But since 1996, Lynn has done that superbly, mastering a perfect balance. Hard news, breaking news, feature and entertainment news. For 32 years at Channel 7, Lynn has done it all. A steady presence on Channel 7, a valued member of the mosaic of South Florida television. She is Lynn Martinez.
This is a 7 News special report.
Hello and welcome, everybody. I'm Balkis Naray here in the 7 Newsplex. We're just receiving word of a silver alert. Oh, my bad. It's not a silver alert. Make that a silver circle alert. It seems that Channel 7's very own Lynn Martinez is being honored with one of NATAS's highest honors. But before we bestow this award upon Queen Lynn, let's take a quick look back at her accomplishments, just in case, you know, maybe you guys forgot.
Here's a look at the moments you may have missed.
Our story begins at MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa, where Lynn was born. It's been reported that when her parents said, Gucci, Gucci, Goo, Lynn replied, Gucci is okay, but can you throw in some Prada and maybe some Dolce & Gabbana too? Next, it was off to St. Michael's Catholic School, where this future fashionista would major in plaid.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to News First on a Monday. I'm Lynn Martinez.
After receiving her bachelor's and master's degrees from Webster University in St. Louis, Lynn landed her first TV job as an anchor and producer at WWTV WWUP in Cadillac, Michigan.
Learn about fats that affect your cholesterol level next. It was a weekend of shaking and breaking.
It wasn't long before Lynn traded in her snowshoes, taking her talents to South Florida's news station WSVN 7. And she got here just in time to cover Hurricane Andrew.
Let me give you an idea of what's going on right here in Gould's Plaza,
where coincidentally she'd work alongside a future co-anchor and fellow Silver Circle honoree, Craig Stevens.
There is a major crackdown in effect tonight. Still to come tonight from the 7 Newsplex.
During her 30-plus years here, yes, she's been here that long, she's covered just about every major story you can think of.
This big case is now in the hands of a jury.
Traveling around the world to war-torn Bosnia.
We are on the very front lines.
Haiti.
The U.S. government is here working. The U.S. Air Force is here working.
And even Rome, where she actually met Pope John Paul II. She was even invited to the White House, where she had a hard-hitting interview with then-President Barack Obama.
You'll have to also stop by my house, because I make a mean lemon martini.
You are a good bartender, sir.
I can only make one drink.
Only one drink.
But the lemon martinis were really good.
Well, I'm gonna have to try it out.
Wow, that's nothing to sneeze at. But when the sun goes down, the stars come out, and Lynn gets to let her hair down. She's Lynn Martinez. I'm Belkis DeRay. We've got the giggle, dishing the dirt on WSVN's prime access entertainment show, Deco Drive. From spoofing the Oscars, you are a weird guy. I know. To recording a Billboard chart-topping Christmas classic. Hey, put your candy cane on my tree. When it comes to Lynn's versatility, the sky is the limit. And when she's not jumping out of planes, you'll find Lynn jumping in to lend her voice to important causes in our community, such as Habitat for Humanity.
We're gonna raise the roof, for real.
Best Buddies, Women in Distress, the Women's Fund, and the Winterfest High Heel Hike, benefiting breast cancer research.
Aquaman, you're here! Welcome to the Winterfest Retreat.
Speaking of Winterfest, Lynn also puts her comedic talents to good use in their annual retreat videos, and she continues to co-host the Winterfest Boat Parade specials. Did I mention along the way she's picked up a few Emmy Awards here and there? She's been named New Times Best Anchor.
Is the mic on? Hello? Testing.
And on top of all of that, she has raised 2 amazing kids.
I'd like to make an acceptance speech. Okay, all right, please, quiet down.
Here we go. Clearly, she is a woman of many talents, but you guys already knew that. Before we sign off, Lynn, there's a couple of people with some special messages. They want to give you some love on your special day.
Hello, Pumpkin. It's me, the ghost of Deco Past. Well, one of them, anyway. Congratulations on your Silver Circle Award, Lynn Martinez. So well deserved. You've been an icon in this market ever since you first appeared on our TV screens, and I am indeed one of the lucky ones who got to work with you. And boy, did we have fun. On set, off set, sometimes too much fun. But I want you to know how much I always admired you and your amazing talent, and you're a hell of a journalist, and you have this gift of just seamlessly transitioning every night from hard-hitting serious news anchor to the refreshingly irreverent, improvisational, hilarious co-host that I was blessed to share that Deco set with for those 13 years, playing dress-up Mama June to your Honey Boo Boo, cooking lobster together. I babysat your kids, and now they're all grown up in the Navy and kickboxing, and boy, where did the time go? I don't know. But one thing I do know for sure is how much I treasure that chapter of my life and those golden moments when I frequently talked over you, the way you made me laugh and kept me honest and authentic and just made me a better anchor and a better human. You are quite simply the best.
Lynn Martinez, congratulations on your Silver Circle Award. You are so deserving of this honor. You are the consummate journalist. Everything you do is infused with the perfect blend of curiosity and compassion. I cherish every minute we got to work together back in the early days of Deco. I love you so much. So grateful to be your friend. Congratulations. Say congratulations, buddy.
Lynn, congratulations. I am so proud of you. It's an honor to work alongside you every day as a colleague, journalist, and of course, as a friend. Your talent really is incomparable, especially your breaking news prowess. It is simply one of the best in the business. You ad-lib with command about any given topic and connect with the viewer in a way very few journalists can. At the same time, you're able to switch directions and bring your personality, wit, and undeniable cheeky humor to Deco Drive. I've watched you grow throughout the years into a journalistic force of nature. Keep up the excellent work, and here's to many more years of awe-inspiring television journalism.
Hey, Mom. Congratulations on devoting 25 years of your life, and not only doing that, going above and beyond the expectations that were set. You have set the bar extremely high for me, and I may not admit it, but I've always looked at you as a role model. I've looked at you as my life coach, and I've looked at you as my mentor, and most recently my best friend, but forever my mother. And I love you so much. I'm so proud of you. I'm so glad that all this hard work you've been putting in is getting shed in the light. Congratulations, Ma. I'm so proud of you. I can't wait to give you a big hug. Love you.
Hi, Ma. Congratulations on this award. You should be so proud of yourself because I know me and Nick are of you. I truly couldn't have asked for a better role model in my life. someone who's so hardworking, intelligent, funny, badass, and the woman that does it all, the woman that counts for many, many family members. So we're so proud of you. I am. Enjoy this award and this achievement that you've worked so hard for. We love you very much.
Lynn, congrats on this award. You're not just a fantastic journalist, but on top of everything else, you are an amazing, amazing friend and human, and it's my honor to call you friend. I love you. Congrats. You're good enough, you're smart enough, and gosh darn it, people love you.
Wow, okay. And I didn't want to wear these. I'm like, that's for old people. Yep, well, join the crowd. Kevin Kramer, amazing video. Thank you for doing that. I told him, like, who wants to make a video of somebody? That's like worse than doing your taxes. And he's like, I love it. Thank you. That was beyond amazing. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna receive. That's what Louis told me. Have fun, Pomps, and receive. Congratulations to all the recipients. You guys are amazing. I honestly, I don't feel good enough sometimes when I look at all of you. Thank you so much. I'm so humbled by this award. You hear that all the time, but it's so true. It sounds corny. Thank you, Natas. My nose is running. Wow, that's attractive. Take a picture of that. Probably the number one thing I learned from this career, I don't know if you remember, Daddy used to say, where there's a will, there's a way. That's what I learned. Craig's right. Scant experience. Yes. So that's been the theme my whole life. Let me tell you a couple of stories I promise to be entertaining. 100 years ago when I was in college, a reporter for the NBC affiliate in St. Louis was teaching my television advanced writing class. Her name was Robin Smith. Remember Conehead, we call her, because her hair was always in a cone? She was a badass, and she was a blunt teacher. And near the end of the course, she lectured all of us in her class, and she said it's going to be really difficult to get a job in television. In fact, hardly any of you are going to get a job, let alone keep it. She said most likely only 1% of us will get a job in television. And out of the 1%, most likely none of you will succeed for long in the industry. Yeah, that's inspiring, but kind of true. So I was like, at that moment, I'm like, okay, better get a plan B. I better do something. So I said, I'm going to get a master's degree. I can teach, even though I hate teaching, because Robin Smith said I'm not going to make it, right? But I still wasn't going to give up on my dream of being in television news. And I went after this career like a hungry ass dog. And I heard no, like a lot of you did, a lot. I counted the other day, 77 rejection letters. So kids, all of you under 30, that's only like 2 of you, 4 of you. So you get a letter in the mail typed on a typewriter saying, thanks, no thanks. 77, premonition 7, right? So that's a lot of no's in 6 months, but I wasn't going to stop. And just as I was about to consider teaching, like maybe I should go into banking or teaching, because I heard so many no's. A news director from Northern Michigan took a chance on me, interviewed me on the phone, like many of you got your first job, gave me the job, and off I went to this state I had never seen before to be an anchor, producer, editor, chyron operator, teleprompter operator, trash collector, whatever, right? And I'm so grateful to Cadillac, Michigan. But after being cold and hungry for 2.5 years, I was ready to move on. I had to get out of Cadillac, and I knew the only way to get out, I needed to have more on my resume tape than anchoring. I needed reporting, live reporting, which we didn't have a live truck. I never reported before in my life, but I needed to fake it. So I hired my friend, and we went around on a Saturday in Cadillac, faking these live shots. You might call them as lives today. So I would stand in front of a local bar talking about a fire that happened on the weekend that broke out overnight. You know, things that could have happened but didn't happen. And there you go. There's my live shot on my resume tape, and it worked. I got an interview in Miami. More importantly, at WSVN. Here was this Midwestern girl walking into that TV station. There was so much stimulation. My head was on a swivel. And there was blue, and there was red, and hustle, and bustle, and excitement. I was like, I'm intoxicated. I was like, I gotta work here. And then I got a glimpse during the interview of this show called 7:30. Back in the day, it was called 7:30, deco later. And I couldn't take my eyes off of it. These women were so edgy. They were saying things I could never say. I was like dying to get out of that interview so I could go at the hotel and watched the show. Day one, I was in love with the show. Premonition? During my interview, Joel Cheatwood, who was the news director at the time, he's asking all that normal news director questions, right? And then he says to me, we called him Darth Vader. Remember that, Craig? Because he was like, scary. And he says to me, do you know what impressed me the most about your resume tape? Your live work. And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, this guy knows I lied. This guy knows I lied. And then I was like, without a pause, without a blink, I said, you know what? It's my favorite thing to do. And I got that job. Bam! 2 weeks later in my job at Channel 7, there's a breaking news story about an hour before news time. And a football player was struck by lightning at South Miami High School. Joel Cheatwood, remember the guy, the Darth Vader? He loves my live work. He strokes his beard at the assignment desk and he says, send Martinez. She's the lead. Okay, so I jump in the car with a very experienced Ralph Rayburn. Maybe you've heard of him. Ralph is talking, he's got all the scanners, the seats way back, and he's got his snacks and everything. And he's talking about traffic and what time we're going to get to the scene and lightning strikes and the history of South Miami and whatever. And I'm like, it's building. I couldn't take it. I blurt out, oh my God, I've never done a live show in my life. I take live shows to get this job. They're going to find out they're going to sit back to Cadillac. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. And Ralph replied like a skilled surgeon trying to save a patient's life. Okay, as he's eating his little cracker. Here's what you're going to do. When you go live, you're going to stand in front of the football field and you're going to tell viewers what happened. Then you're going to turn to the PIO. I swear to God, never told this to anybody. I go, what's a PIO? Public Information Officer, person who's going to answer your questions. Okay. And then you're going to finish by looking up at the camera, pointing to the dark sky, and you're going to warn everybody that more bad weather's on the way. Okay, I'm writing it all down. So I did exactly what Ralph said to do. Said a few facts, asked one question, pointed to the sky, bad weather coming, back to you. When I finished, I heard the live truck guy say, Martinez, you got a call from Cheatwood in the satellite truck. I'm like, oh my God, I'm finished. This is it. He knows. He's going to fire me. Instead, he says, nice job. It's your story for the 10. Oh my God, I got to get the job. To this day, I am forever grateful to Ralph effing Rayburn. He could be a mass murderer, and I will always be grateful. He never ratted me out, and he was always there for me. But then there was another challenge down the road for me, and that was how to be a co-host. So I was anchoring, reporting, doing my thing, right, living my life, and I was offered to be this co-host for Deco Drive, that great show I fell in love with on day one. I was not an entertainment person. I was not one of those people who watched the Kardashians. They weren't born then, but you know what I mean. I was not an entertainment person. I didn't know anything about entertainment news. I didn't know how to host a show. I didn't even know if I had the guts or the courage to do that show. But where there's a will, there's a way. So I had to figure it out. And it was a challenge for me, going from anchoring the news about crime and politics and death to changing into some sparkly dress and within 30 minutes be this great, entertaining, funny person. In fact, I sucked at this for a good year. Nobody will admit it, but I'll admit it. I did. I sucked for about a year. It was not funny for a year. But then I finally relaxed and I found my voice. I found my funny. I discovered comedic timing, on-the-job training. How to bring out your personality, how to say what viewers are thinking, how to push the envelope without being called in the boss's office too many times. Because it happened. I grew to love the mix of news and entertainment. Even now, I'll have a depressing day of news and then put on a cute outfit for Deco, and by the end of the show, I'm laughing while I'm taking off the mic. Right, Shereen? I'm laughing, and then I'm still laughing. It doesn't happen every day, but it happens a lot. I'll be laughing going to my car. Oh my God, that was such a funny show. That was so great. I'm so happy. And my job makes me happy. We work our whole damn lives. What a privilege it is to do something you love. You know what else is a privilege? Oh my God, I'm going to cry. To do with the people you love. Life highlights. Being a mother. Damn straight. Being a wife. I'm good at it. My career highlights. Making lifelong friends. I'm so lucky to have all of you at my tables, my 2 tables in life, my 2 tables here. And so in closing, a bucket of gratitude. Thank you to the Anson family for hiring me, scant experience. Thank you to my boss, Alice Jacobs, for supporting me. Thank you to my parents for believing in me. Where am I? I need a teleprompter. Thank you to my kids, Nicholas and Elle, for sharing your mother with this career and cooperating when I needed to put you on TV, even though you didn't want it. Thank you to my husband for adapting to TV life so easily. Thank you to my friends who are now my lifelong family for sure, forever. Thank you to the viewers who sustain us all. And thank you to all those no's, because where there's a will, there is a way. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much.
Congratulations, Lynn.
Your rejection letters. Thank you all my rejections. Forgot your props. Forgot your props.
Congratulations, Lynn. Now, please welcome our next presenter, Stu Jacobs, Senior Producer, WTVJ, Miami, Florida.
I have to follow this. Thanks, Lynn. It's my great pleasure, though, to introduce my good friend, former co-worker, Ross Noble, for entry into the Silver Circle. Ross was a sports and news photographer for 41 years, all at the same station, WTVJ. He started when Jimmy Carter was president. Gas was 88 cents a gallon. Boy, Ross, you sure saw a lot of history roll through your camera. Now, you might ask, why does one person work at the same place for 41 years? The answer is simple. Ross loved his work, and the station loved his work. Ross is not one to go seek a lot of accolades or awards, but he surely deserves this honor. Colonel Mitchell Wolfson, who founded WTVJ, did so with one guiding principle: public service. And during a career that spanned 6 decades, 1979 to 2020, Ross Noble performed that valuable public service for South Florida. He started in the sports department, which was full of talented people. It was run by Bernie Rosen, the man who invented local sports coverage on TV. In order to work for Bernie, Bernie gave so many young people their first big break in the business, including Ross and many, many others. In order to work for Bernie, you had to work hard, you had to do excellent work, and you had to beat the competition. So Ross quickly fit in. He was a fast learner. He had a calm, easygoing demeanor, very easy to work with, and performed well under pressure. He developed what every great photographer needs to have, which is technical proficiency, yes, but more importantly, a keen eye for detail and storytelling shots. The ultimate team player, everybody loved working with Ross. And Ross, we lost Bernie a few years ago, but I'm sure today, as only Bernie Rosen could do, he's up there watching this and looking down, and he's very, very proud, as we all are. I want to use a golf analogy to describe Ross's work ethic. I play a lot of golf with Ross. He puts everything he has into every swing. A lot of times his leg comes flying off the ground. I think that's the way he approached his job. He put everything he had into every story. He cared. Ross transitioned seamlessly from doing sports to news. He did both. But his special skill was shooting football and covering the Miami Dolphins. Nobody ever did it better. If you think it's easy keeping a ball in frame when Dan Marino throws it over the middle about 75 miles an hour, think again. It's not easy. Ross shot football games in every single stadium in the NFL. Very few people can say that. His lovely family got in on the act too sometimes. One day he took his wife Linda, who's here today, to a Dolphin game to help him on the sideline or be on the sideline. After the game, Ross is in the locker room getting interviews, and Linda's outside, and she's wandering around, and she's looking through doors, and who does she see? Don Shula in his underwear. Linda thought Ross was going to be fired. Then there was a time after the 2003 World Series. Ross is on the field with the Marlins and gets on a phone call with Samantha, one of his daughters, who's also here today. And what does he do? He hands the phone to Mike Lowell, one of the Marlins heroes of the game. And he lets Samantha talk with Mike Lowell. And Samantha later told her mother that it was the highlight of her 11-year-old life at the time. And Ross's other daughter, Kelly, There was a time when she was homesick from school. Ross was out covering an event at the Boys and Girls Club with the star of the hit show High School Musical, Corbin Bleu, I think was that fella's name. Anyway, only Ross would think of this. He calls Kelly at home, puts her on the phone with the star of High School Musical, made her feel a lot better. So Ross, for all you accomplished, through the hot days, the cold days, the rainy days, the hurricane winds, the late nights, early mornings, long hours, working weekends and holidays, the sore shoulders, the tired feet, the schlepping of all that equipment, you deserve this day and to be remembered forever as one of the best who ever did it in South Florida broadcast news. It's been quite a career. Let's take a look at it.
Through his camera, South Florida news viewers saw triumphs and tragedies, daily news, and compelling stories.
I learned very quickly what Ross Noble means to this local news community.
You've been here longer than I've been alive. What, 41 years, right? Anyway, in all seriousness, you are a class act, one of the best in the business.
Young Ross Noble got his first camera credit in high school, making this Mission Impossible production on Super 8 film.
You put the golf club down by the ball, and you were ready to start your golf swing.
A University of Miami communications class video showed his passion for sports. Then interning at WTVJ under legendary sports director Bernie Rosen, Ross's first football shot wasn't exactly perfect.
Well, there was a long touchdown, and he had some issues with keeping the play in focus.
But Bernie eventually hired Ross, and he became an all-time great.
All right, the guy with the hat on is Ross Noble, who's our photographer for the Dan Marino Show and for Channel 4 Sports, does great stuff on the sideline that you see.
You're an icon in covering sports. His career took Ross around the world.
And it's 6 o'clock in the morning, Friday morning, here in Japan.
Think about it, from Tokyo to London, you name it, we've covered it, interviewed some of the greatest athletes of all time.
You think Father Time caught you? You think maybe next week you'll think about it, but now you're...
I think Father Time wins.
They all had such a deep respect for Ross Noble, and he handled himself with class and integrity every single day that he carried that camera.
At times, Ross even got in front of the camera.
This is what used to be West Berlin.
But behind the lens, Ross was always perfectly composed. Whether the reporter got hit in the head with a soccer ball,
God bless almighty,
or attempts at tongue-twisting stand-up.
Is what Exposito in 3 is what Exposito's salary. 3 is what Exposito.
How about pulling off a live shot through an Empire State Building window?
No, kick me! I'm punching!
Or capturing angry heavyweight champ Larry Holmes jumping over a car? Ross just always kept on rolling.
I would describe Ross Noble as stoic and reliable. Whenever we worked together, he always did a great job of shooting and editing, but also he never lost his cool.
Ross also covered some of the most important stories in South Florida history.
I heard gunshots, I smelled gunpowder, I heard people hitting the floor.
His first week on the job, hanging out of a helicopter, shooting the McDuffie riots. He'll never forget seeing a family losing their home after Hurricane Andrew, realizing his family could have suffered the same fate.
It was some of the most memorable TV that I've ever participated in. I just lost myself in the story, and you were right there behind me the entire time.
Not exactly the American dream, is it?
Well, it's the American dream destroyed.
His wife Linda and daughters Samantha and Kelly knew Dad often had to hit the road.
Okay, here we are in Kansas City.
We're at Mile High Stadium in Vesco Field. We're in a chilly Lambeau Field. Rich State in Buffalo. It's December 1st, and it feels like it.
They understood there were days he had to edit from the back of a car instead of playing with them in the backyard. Ross's talent brought him to Super Bowls, the World Series, college football and NBA championships, the Olympics, and the White House, and got him through numerous management changes.
Just want to congratulate you for making it through how many of those WTVJ regimes and news directors? You outlasted a lot of us, that's for sure.
You should be proud of a great career that you've had as being one of the top photographers in the country, spanning over 40 years. That's incredible.
He was happiest bringing the sights and sounds of sports to South Florida.
You're working too hard, my man. You ain't getting paid that kind of money to work like that.
Part of a great team of journalists at WTVJ.
I ain't afraid of no news.
And he also mentored the newcomers.
The countless stories that you help tell, the beautiful images shared. So for all of those who you have teamed with and those that you have taught, thank you so much for being so amazing at your job.
Great teacher you were way back when I was first starting out. Great photographer. You've been to every damn sporting event known to mankind.
Ross gained the respect of colleagues and competitors.
You're an integral part of the TVJ sports legacy.
You know, teams retire players' numbers, but rarely honor media members with jerseys when they retire. He's riding into the sunset with a legacy of brilliant work.
All right, so it's very easy to follow a couple of anchors here. I remember when Stu called me to say that I'd won this award and told me the other people in it. I said, well, as long as I don't have to follow Lynn Martinez, I'll be good. And then Stu said, they go alphabetical order. So I have to steal another line from her. This is a very humbling moment, because I know most of the people that have been inducted in here, and this is really an honor that I'll have to read because I can't do things off the cuff like you guys. First, these lights are very bad. First, I wanted to thank the Silver Circle for this award. It feels good to be connected to all of you and the people that have come before me. It's pretty much an honor. As a news and sports guy, I can say I've been to as many crime scenes as Dan Marino has thrown touchdown passes, which was 420. To do this job, you have to have a very understanding family, and my wife and Linda and my daughter Samantha's here. My other daughter Kelly lives in Ireland, and she'll be watching this on tape, I guess, tomorrow. But they know, as we all do, that in this business there are no holidays, there are no weekends, and when a hurricane is coming, Dad is usually going to be standing out in it for the next 12 hours. Which brings me to my reporters. I'm sure we all have a little PTSD. Because between all the positive stories that we do and we tell, they're all overshadowed by the aftermath of Hurricane Andrew, or the Parkland shootings, or the tragedies that affect families. And these are shared experiences with coworkers that you will never forget and make you appreciate who you work with. And two of those people are here with me, Diana Gonzalez and Ari Obzer. It was never a bad day when the assignment desk said, there's who you're working with today. So in sports, there's no tragedy except when the season ends. And that brings me to the first time that I was an intern back in 1978. I walked into TVJ, and the world was different back then. As an intern, Bernie Rosen came up to me and said, Ross, you will take the station vehicle and drive over to Hialeah Park, and you will do a stand-up with John Arminio. And I was thinking, where and what is Hialeah Park? But that's the way Bernie was. If you did the job, if you got out there and you came back and you had done what he sent you out to do, you were good to go with Bernie. And a couple of thousand sporting events later, I hope he is up there and he's proud of me. I had the privilege of watching coaching greats like Don Shula, Jimmy Johnson, Pat Riley, Ron Frazier. They all work their trade, and I got a clinic each week on coaching. Every day in this job, you never knew what was going to happen, and that's why I loved it so. Because some days I'd show up to work and I was walking the golf course with Bob Hope, or I'd be over watching Muhammad Ali do his workout, or I'd met Mickey Mantle, or Congressman John Lewis, Arnold Palmer, and I could go on and on. But the most unusual memory I've had is back in Buffalo during a Dolphin game. I was out pregame and I met, I didn't meet, well, I knew O.J. Simpson, and he was standing in front of me doing a pregame show for NBC. And it was a cold December day, and I still remember looking at him giving a stand-up and thinking, why can't the guy buy a pair of gloves that fit? True story. Finally, I want to thank my sports guys. When I first got to the TVJ, I had Steve Kroll, Stu Jacobs, Bernie Rosen, John Arminio. They were all guys that taught me how to get this job done. And Stu was a great mentor. Besides being a senior producer, he was also a sideline photographer for NFL Films for almost 40 years. So it was very easy to get on the field and say, where's Stu? And whatever he did, I followed him. And after a while, I guess I picked up a few good things. But in closing, I'd just like to say, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind going back to the guy in that black and white video and doing it all over again.
Congratulations, Ross. Now, please welcome our next presenter, Glenna Milberg, reporter from WPLG-TV, Pembroke Park, Florida.
Hi. You know, I'm sitting back there thinking, we're like all family here. This industry is so incestuous, and like we all work together, and it's congrats to everyone. This is so much fun. So I'm going to dispense with the bio because you can read about Bob's bio, and I think it's best told in stories. What a career, a lifetime, the old fart award kind of stuff is best told in stories. So I regret to tell you there are a couple of stories. You know, we've worked together, Bob and I, for 23 years on and off. And I think you're going to hear a lot of stories from a lot of people he worked with because there's millions of them. But there's some I can't tell you, and I'm sorry. I can't tell you, there are no managers here, right? I can't tell you how he hides the cost of the bottles of wine when we travel in his expense reports. I can't tell you that. And I also probably should not tell you about stealing the orange cones when we're in Tallahassee at night from around the construction sites, and so we could put them by the Capitol in a parking space, and the next morning there's our space right there. But I can tell you a lot of other stories. So you all should know that Nicole and Brad stole that idea from us.
Bravo. Excellent. Thank you.
All right. It just goes to show you he's a really resourceful guy. And in this business, you know we have to be resourceful because stuff is breaking down all the time. And things just don't work the way this. You know, remember the time we were in Port St. Lucie for some reason, and the rental car that we had didn't work, the inverter something happened, so somehow there's a log holding up the hood of the trunk so that the wires could go in it. Somehow we got live because Bob is a really resourceful guy, the MacGyver of Channel 10. He's also an amazing storyteller. And a lot of photographers these days, how old do you have to be to say these days? you know, we've become sort of content providers in many ways, and that's not a pejorative, but it is true. But Bob is a real storyteller, and he's got a way with video and editing and an eye toward shots become stories. And I can tell you one of my favorite stories about this is invariably we'll work together. We'll do all our things. We tell stories in kind of the same way, which is really nice to work with someone that you don't have to say, shoot this, shoot this, shoot this. So we get in the car and I say, we were at a homeless feeding site every day, and the neighbors who lived around this homeless feeding site were incensed that there was styrofoam everywhere every day. So we're dispatched to go cover this. And we shoot, and it's a big lot, and it's got a lot of styrofoam, and we get our bites and whatever. And we get in the truck, and I say to Bob, what's your best shot? What do we open this with? Give me the best stuff up top. So he cues up this shot of a weed with a little purple flower on it. And the shot of the little weed with the purple flower gets rack focused, and then you see all the styrofoam. And I'm sitting there thinking, how do I write to that? Deadline makes you better. So we came up with some line. I don't know, do you remember the line? The line was something about in this lot, the weed is the most beautiful part, or something like that. But the point of the whole story is he shot a weed and rack focused into the story. And that's a big deal. And when you tell stories like that and you think of the people involved and the creative components of what you do. That's why we all love working with Bob Palumbo, but there's more. Because he's not only a great photographer, he is a photojournalist. And that means he's also a producer, and he's also a reporter, as you may see in a little bit. And so those hurricanes, if anyone who works on the reporting side of things, you're dispatched to a hurricane. You are a potted plant sometimes in one position where people are doing things and stories going on around you, but they want you live. They want you live in 10 minutes. So you do a live shot in 10 minutes, but then just wait because they're going to take you live in 10 minutes. Well, when do you cover the story? So Bob goes and covers the story, and I'm standing in front of the camera like a potted plant, and Bob comes running up, and I hadn't seen him in half an hour, and he says, I'm at the airport. The airport is jam-packed. People are trying to get out of Key West, and there's a video. You're looking down the long, where all the agents are. There's people climbing over, trying to get tickets, and then I have a bite, and it's a woman who says whatever she said. And then I have this guy. This guy has been here for 4 days, and he says this. And in a minute and a half, I find myself looking into the camera and talking about the video that you're looking at now, and let's listen. And we have the guy, we have the woman, we have the guy, and everyone thinks I've just done this amazing story, and it was Bob. Bob did the story. And that's why everyone loves working with Bob, is because he steps into the role. He's the go-to guy. He is what everybody aspires to be in this business, because when you love news and when you love television, you are not just doing what you do everything. And I know this whole room full of people knows that, right? Raise your hand when you do everything. Right? All right, so what else? What other stories can I tell you before we go to that videotape? Oh, my gosh. We were in Tallahassee. We're on the campaign trail a lot, the Road Warrior team. We love adventure. One of the many things I love about Bob is he loves the adventure. And we happened to be in Tallahassee when a man who was murdered, whose brother was the former mayor of Miami, you may know, Manny Diaz's brother lived in Tallahassee. He was very famous as being part of one of the couples that helped get Miami-Dade's ban on gay marriage overturned. So he was quite the name of himself, and he was killed. And we had been trying to get an interview with his husband, and it finally came through. And we happened to be in Tallahassee for much more mundane things at the Capitol. So we went to do this interview, and it was a half an hour, and it was a very touching, delicate interview. And we wrapped up. And invariably, Bob will have a question or two, which I love. I love that he listens to the interviews. I love that he's into the interviews. And he asks a question. And dang, if it was not the best soundbite in the whole interview, was at the end, the question that he asked, which we ended up using a lot of. So he is, as you can tell, a cohort and a co-conspirator, and on all of our grueling road trips together, we have so much fun, and working with someone who makes working fun is so critical. And there's always that Starbucks somewhere near our hotel. He always finds it, and he knows, well, everybody that he works with, he knows the shade of their coffee and how much cream they like. And he knows how to drive in 6 feet of snow, which is very handy in Iowa and New Hampshire. And I trust him completely, although I do scream at the top of my lungs when the wheel starts spinning really fast. But, oh, and then there is one more story, I promise. So we are in Port St. Lucie. They had captured the guy who did the shooting at the Pulse nightclub. And it happened on a weekend, and I happened to be at the station wearing some bright orange dress because we had been on the air. Not quite as loud as this one, but it was very loud and very memorable. And so we went to Port St. Lucie, and I was there for 4 days in the same orange dress because we were live a lot, working a lot, and it was Port St. Lucie, so there was really nowhere to shop. So Bob, one night after the 6, we drive around, and we were trying to remember if it was a Ross or a Marshall's. No disrespect to either of those stores, but I had never been to one of those stores, and when we walked in, it was just clothes everywhere. And I looked at him, I said, I can't do this. This is overwhelming. I'll just wear the orange dress. He takes my hand, he drags me over a rack, flipping through the racks, brings out this little black t-shirt dress. Decent. Okay, let's get it. Then he drags me over to the jewelry counter and picks out this horrid necklace. But it did look good on the air, it really did. And so all of a sudden, after 4 days, I walk out, and I remember that moment, thinking, we're there for a terrible story. But it's the moments of, Bob Palumbo just dressed me from a Ross or a Michael or a Marshall's. I still have that dress. I don't think I ever wore it. Anyway, so here's what I love most about Bob. As long as any of us have been doing this, he's still passionate about what we do. He recognizes that every moment on some of the stories we do is not only covering a story, but living history, documenting history, doing public service. He goes above and beyond with everyone. He's a mentor, he's a teacher. There are people at our station who literally owe their careers to what he does and how he does it. And he never loses that kind of utter little boy joy for what we do. And it is so much my honor to work with him and to present this roll of tape.
This is an Eyewitness News special report.
I'm Dwight Lauderdale. We are looking at a live picture right now of a breaking news story. Eyewitness News photojournalist Bob Palumbo is in Sky 10 above that scene. What can you see from your vantage point, Bob?
It looked like there were several Coast Guard boats that intercepted this small raft. About 5 or 6 Cuban men were on the boat, and the Coast Guard started shooting a water cannon to sink the raft, and all the men jumped in the water and appeared to be trying to swim for shore.
Hey, shot fired, guys. I got the social custody on 65. Secure.
Some 20 narcotics officers and high adrenaline fueled by the radio call of shots fired.
Come on! Shots fired.
It was a Miami-Dade officer's gun fired. The target, one of the young men marked as a suspected drug dealer.
Bone-dry sawgrass, sparked by a lightning strike 2 days ago, now keeping forestry crews busy.
20!
10 a.m. and the blood pressure levels at the Resolve Fire Training Facility are already maxed out.
So let's go live to Al in West Palm Beach.
Dennis, once again I have the 1.3 meter parabolic antenna pointed to the satellite in geosynchronous orbit.
Glenn Calhoun is the superintendent of the Miami-Dade Police Department's Forensics and Crime Scene Division. He says spending money on cutting-edge technology pays for itself.
Not only have people been exonerated through DNA evidence, but now we're also able to solve crimes that we couldn't solve before.
So we
have a little fun on campus. We're right outside the University bookstore at the University of Miami, and I happened to be assigned to Local 10 photographer whose nickname is Gator Bob. So Bob, let's go ahead and switch out. I'm gonna take the camera, you go ahead and take the microphone.
All right, so I ain't just any Gator fan, I'm a true blue Gator fan. Let's go walk around campus and see what's going on. There's gotta be some Gator shirts in here somewhere. Nope, I don't know. Hey, here's the guy that works here. Where are the Gator shirts?
Oh, no Gator shirts, just Canes.
Yeah, but Gators are gonna win tomorrow, so we should have some shirts for them, right?
Oh, nah.
Local 10 News photographer Bob Palumbo has a closer look at how high the water got as he spoke to some of those stuck drivers.
This is Publix parking lot in Sheridan Street. All these cars out here are floating. I'm gonna try to walk home.
The power of the storm surge and the winds here where we're standing, the foundation of a home, I don't even know what to say. Everything is gone.
The town of Uvalde, Texas is mourning. 19 innocent children and 2 teachers were killed at Robb Elementary School.
Bob, what can I say? You're an amazing brother. There are so many moments to talk about. The time in May of 2020, privately, most photojournalists on our staff at Local 10 said, hard pass, but you stepped up to the challenge. COVID was still running rampant in Haiti, and like today, there were so many security concerns. In fact, we had to have an armed security guard with us at all times, and conditions were far from ideal there. You never complained. In fact, I think you found more excitement in that moment than any of us. Thanks for always being there, and thanks always for being you. Congrats, my brother, and we all love you.
We lovingly call Bob the full-service photog because every time you get to work with him, you just know it's going to be a good day. It is truly a joy to work with somebody who cares this much about his craft, especially after doing it this long. So congratulations, Bob. What an honor and so deserved.
So when you think about photojournalists, you think about their skills, not only when it comes to shooting video, but also when it comes to being real journalists, wanting to do the good stories. And that's exactly what Bob does. Not only is Bob good at that, but he's also a dear friend to many of us. Congrats, Bob.
I'm just gonna do something here because Bob is behind the camera. The lighting, he says, is really amazing, even though my hair probably isn't. But we're here covering the unprecedented criminal charges against Donald Trump in the center of the news universe, in the craziness of New York, and there is no one that I would rather be with than this guy.
Thank you, love you.
Love you back.
Thank you so much, everybody. I really wanted to thank my friends and my family and my coworkers and all the folks at WPLG. I'll be there 30 years next month. It feels like I just started the other day, you know, it's crazy. I grew up in this little town called Duxbury. It's right near Plymouth, Massachusetts, a little quiet little town. Before internet or anything, all I ever wanted to do in my life was be an airline pilot. So, you know, I knew planes, I would watch planes. There's pictures of me when I was 5 years old looking at a magazine, a flying magazine. So what does a kid do in 1979 that wants to be a pilot? Oh, go into the ROTC and become an aerospace engineer. Okay, great, I'll go be an aerospace engineer. Can you imagine me being an aerospace engineer? So I go to University of Massachusetts to become an aerospace engineer, and that really didn't work out so well. My parents moved to South Florida, and the first thing I wanted to do after living 20 years in Massachusetts was, sure, I'll move to Florida. So I went down to UF, and go Gators! Woo! Ari was my first roommate when I moved to South Florida. There's a little bit of a side story where we sort of both wound up in this business kind of offhanded. I got a job at the O'Connell Center, the stadium, the basketball facility there, to make some extra money. Loved it, was a stagehand, doing all this kind of stuff, and I'm struggling through differential equations or whatever it was, and calculus, and one of the guys was like, yeah, there's a major in this. I'm like, there is? Yeah, School of Journalism. I'm like, I'm not a journalist. I'm an aerospace engineer. But they were like, yeah, there's a major. So after a couple of grades that, let's just say, were less than stellar, it was time to find a different career path. And I went to the School of Journalism and started in the production department. So, that was pretty awesome. That it sort of started me in a whole new career that I couldn't be more thankful of. But it almost didn't happen because I wasn't a real wealthy kid. We were middle class, and I needed in-state tuition. So I've been on the phone with the lady in the admissions office, and back and forth, well, we don't know, Air Force was paying for your school, and blah, blah, blah. So she just called me on Monday. So I give her a call that following Monday, and it was like, she's like on the phone, oh my God, oh, she was crying hysterically, and I was, oh, what's the matter? There's a guy named Palumbo that got eaten by an alligator, and I thought it was you. So I'll give you in-state tuition for sure, she said. And, it's better to be lucky than good. We all know that as journalists. People that are never going to talk, they always do. So my first job, it was at Channel 5 in West Palm. I interned there over a couple of summers, so I knew the job. I graduated December 22nd or something, and I called the guy, Carl, that was been my point guy at the station on floor crew, and I said, hey, I'm graduated, I'm ready for a job. He goes, oh, it's Christmas, and we don't really have anything right now, I'll keep you in mind. Next day, the phone rings. He's frantically calling me. I need you to start today. Can you start today? And I was like, yeah, what happened? Well, the guy on floor crew got busted running drugs to the Bahamas in a Channel 5 helicopter, and I need you to take his job. So that's how you start in the business sometimes, I can't be more happy about being a photojournalist in South Florida. It is really awesome. I could never see myself sitting in a cubicle, or at this point, a pilot's cockpit for that matter, with everything that we do. And it's a crazy business, and all our friends know, oh, sure, I'll have dinner with you tonight, provided I'm not live in Homestead at 6 o'clock and don't get back till 8 o'clock or whatever. And the stuff that we go through, how many of us all know in this job, being stuck on the side of the highway and we've peed and other things and the bushes and many other places. It's not an easy job. It's something you really have to love. And I just squished my flower. And I really love it. But the part that I really love more than anything else is the ordinary people that you meet. It's not the sports stars, sorry Ross, and the presidents and all these kind of crazy important people you meet. I like meeting the little guy, the homeless people, the person down in Miami that lives on the street. Those are the ones that are really the most interesting to talk to. They always have some crazy story on the side of the live truck. Hey man, my wife. They always have a story, and it's pretty funny. But there are a few politicians that I do have some funny stories about, the ones that I've met. There was a short time when I moved to Washington, D.C. to work for Potomac Communications back in '88. And they did stringer service. They did SBN was one of their biggest clients. And they had the reporters had a purse full of different mic flags they put on it. Tom Cole was his name? Yeah. So I would work with him. Anyway, so I wound up manning the White House for CNN at the time. It's 88 going to 89, and Reagan was president and George W. was becoming president. It's Christmas Eve, and I'm sitting in the White House ready for the light to come on, and all of a sudden, that door to the left of the podium in the White House we all know, ho, 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 out comes this guy in a Santa suit. And I'm like, what the hell? It was George Sr., and he had a bag full of Christmas gifts to give out to the media, little Christmas ornaments. It was really pretty funny. And I have it this day on my Christmas tree every year. But this next story is so much better. Glenna Milberg and I, who I absolutely adore, we've done so many stories together, and we are in Tallahassee for one of the many, many times that we've been there. And we missed an event with Charlie Crist. So, excuse me real quick, does anybody have a sip of water I can grab? May I?
Okay, Marco Rubio.
No, Marco Rubio had two hands when he did it. All right, so we go into Charlie Crist's office. Hey, can we see the governor? We missed his little availability. They're like, sure. Hang on. So Glenn and I go walking in, and he's sitting on the ground, Indian style, with about 10 school children doing his little event. Hey, give us a minute and we'll be right with you. So the kids are starting to leave. He's getting ready. He's going to give us a quick soundbite, and my phone rings. And I pick it up, and I was like, oh, hi, Dad. Sorry, hey, happy birthday. I'm in the governor's office. I can't talk to you right now. And I put the phone down, and Charlie's like this, looking at me. He goes, was that your dad? And I said, yeah. He goes, was it his birthday? Yeah. He goes, call him back right now. Like, okay. So I pick up the phone, I go, hey, Dad, somebody here that wants to talk to you. And I hand Charlie the phone, and he's like, hey, Bob, my dad's name Bob. Hey, Bob, happy birthday. And I see Charlie like this. I don't hear what he's saying. He's nodding and smiling like this. And then all of a sudden I hear him go, well, that's okay. Maybe you'll vote for me next time. Yeah, leave it to my dad to be like that. So, I really get a thrill when my video is on national news. Now, to this day, I've been doing it this long, and like 2 weeks ago, I had some video that was on nightly news. I'm watching it, I still get excited like a little kid. It's crazy, but that's what South Florida, it is the best place ever to work in this business. The melting pot of it, the color, the stuff happens here. We don't just have murders. We have people that, are naked running down the street cutting people's heads off. It's not just a normal thing. And, when I started, Miami was Market 13. You know what Market 13 is now? Tampa. What the hell ever happens in Tampa? They're a bigger market, but, this is the best place to work. I love Channel 10 and WPLG. I love working in this market. I just couldn't imagine doing it anywhere else. It's been awesome. And I really want to say thank you to the Emmys for this award. It is the most incredible award to think of the group of people that have come before us. Congratulations to all the rest of my recipients today. This is just the most amazing award. I can't believe that I got this. And Glenna, I can't thank you enough for nominating me. Joe, before I forget, one quick thing about Glenna Milberg. I've learned so much from her. She tells me when she's doing a package that she has to count whether she has how many Republicans, how many Democrats on either side of her story, because she says people will email me if, they got 2 sound bites, I only got 1. And you notice she never wears red or blue, because she says she'll get the people calling her and saying, you are wearing blue, you're a commie, you're a Democrat. It's crazy, but Carla, to you and the crew at the Suncoast Emmys and the whole thing, it's been really an honor. I can't thank you all enough for being here, and I just want to say that I'm really looking forward to maybe, I don't know, Ross, what do you think, 5 or 6 more years in this business? All right, thanks so much, everybody.
Congratulations, Bob. Now let's welcome our next presenter, Marcy Golgoski, Executive Producer, WESH2, Orlando, Florida.
So I have the very tall order of telling you about the current Dean of Central Florida Television, Jim Payne. His career has spanned 4 decades. More than half of that, 23 years, has been at WESH in Orlando. And again, 5-minute speech, 5-minute video. I'm not sure about that, so thank you everyone who has gone long, because I don't feel bad now. Because Jim has accomplished and means so much to Central Florida that it's going to be impossible for me to tell you all about him in this small amount of time. On screen shortly, you're going to get a taste of Jim's professional life. So I'm going to focus on the man that we in the newsroom know, our friend, our mentor, and our leader. As serious as Jim can be delivering the 11 o'clock headlines, he has a dad joke waiting for you as soon as that first commercial break hits. And then he's right back at it, in command of breaking news that's going down or whatever calamity is heading his way, because everything can and does go wrong in our business. It's why he's beloved by everybody, from the floor crew to the control room and to the front office. But I'm not quite sure that the front office knows about this. For anyone who has ever been a part of the night shift at WESH, Jim is known for a little thing called the Friday night rap. So take any song, pop, rock, country, rap, from any decade. Jim, on Friday, prints out the lyrics, picks up his desk phone, dials up the intercom, and for the next 3 to 4 minutes emphatically reads or raps that night's song. It has been a hit in my 14 years at WESH, and I think that it's something that we're going to dearly miss once he decides that he doesn't want to come in and put the IFB in anymore. Jim might just be the biggest cheerleader in our newsroom. When a newscast or a story is really good, Jim is the first person at that reporter or photographer or producer's desk to tell them what they did and how well they did it. Or he's walking into the news director's office because he wants her to know who did great work. And in a business where things go wrong, sometimes spectacularly, I have never seen Jim lose his temper. He's simply able to focus on how we do it better next time. But I think what so many of us value about Jim, and what we will miss so dearly when he retires, is his care for and of us. In the middle of the pandemic, Jim called me one day. "Howdy, Miss Marcy." It's how he greets me almost every time we talk. And he was just calling to check in. It had been months since we had physically seen one another, and he just wanted to talk. But Jim also knew that in the middle of everything that was happening, I was also caring for my elderly mother in my home. And one room over, I was still trying to maintain this crazy job that we were all doing. And Jim knew it was taking a toll on me. And I remember realizing after I hung up the phone how much it meant to me that Jim just simply remembered me in that crazy time where it felt like everybody was just so focused inward. He's the man who hiked a mountain in Utah to say farewell to his longtime co-anchor, Wendy Chioji, after she lost her valiant battle to cancer. And then he turned right back around, hiked down to tell her story and her goodbye to everyone in Orlando who was grieving her loss. And I will never forget the counsel that Jim has offered to countless coworkers, but one in particular, who was struggling to deal with her father's alcohol addiction. This very young lady was quietly coming apart as her family reeled from this illness and what it was doing to them. And there was Jim, lending an ear and a shoulder and experience. You see, in 2017, Jim made the decision to share with our viewers something deeply personal. how his family battled against addiction to save his oldest son. And since then, I know Jim has found great purpose helping others navigate that disease and its fallout. And there are more stories like that, stories that I know I don't know, because Jim can keep a confidence like almost no one in a newsroom. Sources know their secrets are safe with him. Jim Payne's is a legacy of class, professionalism, and authenticity that we honor here today with the Suncoast Silver Circle Award. Congratulations, Jim.
For more than 23 years, Jim Payne's been a leading force at and face of WESH 2. Jim began his Central Florida career anchoring the weekend news, but with an eye on something more.
Gatorland has a job opening. If you think you can handle it.
Throw your knee up and climb up on the side.
You see, Jim knows how to spot a golden opportunity.
Stay where you are. Be fine. You're just a little upset.
Gator wrestling would have to wait because Jim was needed on the anchor desk.
Allegations of voter fraud.
Quickly promoted to weekdays for the next 7 years, he and Wendy Chioji would anchor some of Central Florida's biggest stories together.
The last transmission that NASA is reporting, Columbia, Houston, we see your tire pressure messages and we did not copy your last.
No matter which anchor Jim's shared the desk with, he's been a calm and steady presence for viewers as our community has faced the unknown.
We are coming up on 1 a.m. the morning of September 11th, and this is going to be a day of reckoning for Hurricane Irma. It is a Category 2 storm between now and, say, midnight, 1 o'clock. As we push into that time, that is prime time for Hurricane Irma here in Central Florida.
From the local community to the national stage, Jim has reported it all for WESH.
A couple of big developments overnight in the Las Vegas shooting investigation. First and foremost, all the victims have been identified. Moving forward, Donald Trump should officially receive his party's nomination during a roll call vote coming up this afternoon.
When the manned space program shut down, we lost 9,000 jobs. Do we risk losing the expertise and the behind-the-scenes acumen and public support by waiting that long to put men back in space?
Through the years, Jim's also been a driving force behind WESH 2's in-depth storytelling.
The assumption is that you underpaid or you got a great deal on the house, so you should be happy with what you got.
Yes.
But you're not.
No.
In a year-long investigation, News Channel 2 and the Orlando Sentinel hired the UCF Industrial Engineering Department to randomly inspect 400 homes built in 2001 in Central Florida. The inspectors found 8 in 10 homes had significant problems, including building code violations.
It seems that nobody is able to make a critical decision such as, this person really shouldn't be here, but you have to take them in. The law says you have to take them in.
That's very true. We treat all patients no matter what their complaint is.
In 2016, Jim's long-form reporting found a home with WESH 2 Chronicle. The magazine shows focus, anything and everything Central Florida.
Hello and welcome to Chronicle. I'm Jim Payne. Each spring in these parts, thoughts turn to thoroughbreds, strength and grace, power and majesty. The Triple Crown Series, the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, the Belmont Stakes bring so much attention to these incredible animals. And the lion's share of the work that goes into getting a horse ready for the grand stage happens here in Central Florida. You may not realize it, but Marion County is horse country.
WESH 2 cameras have been given the rare chance to capture how Disney holiday magic happened.
It is just after 2 a.m. November 1st, and Halloween memories are fading fast. In fact, the last park guest left just a little while ago, replaced by hundreds of workers transforming the Magic Kingdom from one holiday to the next.
This is WESH 2 Chronicle. Time to shine. The Special Olympics USA Games.
Hello and welcome to Chronicle. I'm Jim Payne.
Jim's dedication to community extends beyond what audiences have seen on camera. From Jim's work as Special Olympics Florida board member to his fearless 5K benefiting child victims of abuse, Jim's lent his time and talents to dozens and dozens of organizations. In 2017, Jim's personal and public work joined as he shared his family's experience with substance abuse and recovery.
When he was in high school and started drinking and started using drugs.
I think we had suspicions that things were amiss. Looking back on it, I can see that there were warning signs, but I love my son, and so I'm going to take him at his word.
So the Pollyanna, Jim must be fine, despite the fact he's becoming addicted to alcohol, to opiates, to benzos, to cocaine in your home.
I just didn't see it. I didn't see it. You know, it just, but hindsight is such a teacher, and it just, I can't look back on any of the decisions that we made and say that we made bad decisions at the time. We didn't have the knowledge that we needed to move forward the right way.
There are so many more instances of Jim pouring his passion into our work. Hurricane telethons, Share Your Christmas, all of it to make life better in Central Florida. And let's not forget the Friday box office previews.
Nearly every action star from the 80s and 90s is working together in The Expendables 2. Yeah, this time the crew is adding more firepower. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
We're not even on camera yet.
Through all of the laughs,
From all of us at WESH 2.
all the moments, big and small, Central Florida's a better place because of how much Jim Payne has given of himself.
You'll be helping Kids House.
Today we celebrate a distinguished career and this incredible honor. Congratulations, Jimmy. We love you.
Thank you, Miss Marcy. Quick shout out to my table. Stephanie Linton, news director at WESH. Yes, please. She's a great boss. My longtime agent, confidant, counselor, all the way from New York, Greg Willinger, is here. Stuart Moore up front. He is a fellow anchor and also the mayor of WESH 2 News. Longtime friend and recently retired from Sinclair Broadcasting, Jeff Keane. My son Michael and my wife Sharon in the back. On July 20th, 1969, I was 9 years old. The whole neighborhood where we lived in Westport, Connecticut was in our family room because we had the biggest TV. The Eagle had landed and Neil Armstrong was about to take one small step. As the hatch on the lunar excursion module opened, our TV started to die. It was one of those big-ass console TVs, and the picture started to squeeze down to the dot in the middle of it. We all went nuts. We ran like crazy people across the street to Susan and Arthur Lord's house. They had just moved into the neighborhood, and we learned that night that he worked at NBC News in New York. My dad found Arthur's secret stash of expensive booze, and they all became fast friends. And while watching the Lord's TV that night, I decided that I was going to be an astronaut. Arthur and Susan left for Saigon, and Arthur ran NBC's coverage of the Vietnam War. He was the last journalist to be evacuated, the last U.S. journalist to be evacuated from the war zone. He was airlifted out on a ladder that had been dropped out of a helicopter to the little metal hut where he was hiding alongside the runway at the Saigon airport. And when he reached and grabbed onto that ladder and the helicopter left, the Viet Cong were taking pot shots at him, and thank God they missed. NBC took that whole crew that was covering the Vietnam War and moved them as a unit to Houston, Texas. And after getting settled in and getting to work, one of the first things Arthur did was to hire me as a gopher. Go for this, you go for that, didn't matter the time of day or what it was. I was a kid in high school at the time, and most days I went to Johnson Space Center, put a camera on a tripod, and beamline images of the Apollo-Soyuz mission back to New York, which was pretty heady stuff for a 17-year-old at the time who was going to be an astronaut. I would return to Houston for another summer of work at the Bureau in Houston from Purdue University, where I was studying engineering because I was going to be an astronaut. I helped the network crews mostly by finding people for them to interview at the assassination reenactment for President Kennedy, during some deadly flooding in Texas, at political campaign rallies. I always wanted to be at Johnson Space Center, though, even though the Apollo program had ended and NASA was mostly launching satellites into orbit, because I was... Thank you for playing along. That summer I realized that maybe I kind of had things all backwards. And while my head was in the clouds and beyond, my heart was in the gear and the stories that it would enable us to tell. So I changed course quite suddenly and got hired at the only TV station in town, and I was off and running as a journalist. I have zero regrets. Actually, that's not quite true. I'm still in decent physical shape, and if NASA wants to send up a journalist, I'm your boy. One of my first jobs in local TV was in Terre Haute, Indiana. My pal Jeff Keane, who I introduced earlier, heard me on the radio and recruited me, and we became fast friends. We also competed rather fiercely for stories. This station would soon become the highest rated NBC station in the country. We do a 50 share for our news during the week. When I anchored on the weekends, we did a 70 share. It was just crazy. Everything that we tried worked. So on a Saturday, I had built this 6 p.m. newscast that was heavy on readers and voiceovers and light on packages, not a lot of places to take a break. It was just me on the set, doing the news that night. There was one person with me in the studio who was running cameras and giving time cues. She was very cute and just a bit shy. Midway through a stretch of about 10 voiceovers, I noticed a ruckus behind the camera, and then an arm extended, and then the sleeve of a button-down shirt slid off the arm, and then the other arm came up on this side, and then the other sleeve of the button-down shirt came off, and there's the shirt, and then it goes to the floor. And I'm thinking, this is a very interesting newscast right now. I have like 4 stories to go and I have no place to hide. There's another commotion from behind the camera. Arms flailing in all kinds of different directions. Then the hand goes out and there's a t-shirt and it drops to the floor. We are coming up on the tees before the first commercial break. The words coming up are barely out of my mouth when that cute, shy girl jumps out from behind the camera and she's wearing a tank top. They had set me up. They thought I was going to break. They thought I was going to lose it. I did not. But that cute, shy girl was wearing one of the biggest smiles that I have ever seen. And she wasn't laughing, but there was laughing coming from the soundproof control room. You all know that the best laughter is off-camera laughter. And I just wish the people at home had been able to hear that at that time. It's the kind of thing that leaves a lasting impression. Irving Berlin wrote a song with the line, "A man chases a lady until she catches him," and that was true for me. That cute, shy girl is now my wife of 36.5 years, my wife, Sharon. If it weren't for her, I would not be here, and I wouldn't have all of you to thank for the honor that I'm being bestowed today. This is just way out of my realm and my scope, and first of all, thank you to you folks at the back table for all that you do for all of us. Thanks for all that you do for everyone that's out there. Keep on fighting the good fight. May God bless each and every one of you. Thank you all very much.
Congratulations, Jim. Now please welcome our next presenter, Sandra Peebles, news anchor from Univision 23, Miami, Florida.
Hello, everybody. I am so excited to be here. I am honored, honestly, all of these award recipients. I'm so glad I'm at the end because by the time I'm here, I got to enjoy all these amazing stories of these fabulous careers. I know so many of you personally, the honorees and the guests, so many of you that we've had the privilege to work together. It's truly an honor to be here, to listen to your stories, and to be able to applaud you. So honestly, congratulations to all the winners today. I'm so proud of you. Incredible. It is also my great honor and privilege to be here presenting my friend, my colleague, Armando Pico. Those of you who know him know that he's had an incredible career, and nothing that we're going to say today is going to truly mirror the greatness that he is and the contributions that he has made to news in South Florida, to the documenting of the history of our community. He's just absolutely amazing. And he's done it all so beautifully, with video, with net sound, with a perfect photography, with the silence, with the moving shots. It has been amazing. It has been absolutely beautiful, but mostly he's done it all with passion. And like so many of us in this room, television news moves us. It's so exciting to go after that soundbite, so exciting to get that person to talk to you, so amazing to get that shot that nobody else got. It's truly exciting and we love it. And we all complain about it and we all say 20 million things. And when it comes down to when it comes down to the wire, everybody pulls it together and wants to do the absolute best shot. It's really incredible when you think about how every single day there's all these newscasts that happen. Incredible. I can't believe that many people actually speak to us, to give us sound bites and help us make slot. That tension, that excitement, there's nothing like that. What we do is truly a vehicle for creativity every single day, and every single day it's an opportunity to help our community. Journalism has a special power not only to transform us, the individuals who are doing it, transform the individuals who are the features of our stories, but also it has the power to transform a community. So Armando and I go way back. When I tell you way back, I know a lot of you have heard 30 years, but literally it was 1992. I met him because we both got hired at a company called Dynamic Cablevision. Belkis was there too. A few of you in this room might have worked there. And so we did, at that time we used to do, it was a 5-minute news capsule that would air every 30 minutes on CNN. And it was this cable news company, and they would hire reporters. We were all like MMJs, what you call MMJs today. So I normally carried my own camera when I was being a reporter, and then there were days that I was anchoring. And Armando was a studio cameraman, and he had long hair at the time. He was actually a musician. He didn't think he was going to go into this business, but so when they would roll the credits, he would come up and do those uncomfortable few seconds after the news capsule, and they were rolling the credits. He would come up, and then one day they sent us out. And I wasn't going to really say the whole story, but I feel kind of good about it, right? I think I'm going to say it. So incredibly, at that time, right, they just throw you into the frying pan. You know how it is, right? You start news. I can't believe it still. I think of it to this day. They send us to go cover presidential politics. And there was a GOP candidate, Pat Buchanan, you may remember, who ran in the primary with George Bush at the time. And we went, they sent me with a cameraman that day, which was really a novelty because I normally would have to go on my own. But they gave him an opportunity, so we went. I mean, I guess, did you have any experience at that time? He had 0 experience. Well, so much little experience he had that he actually didn't roll on it. But we made it happen. Of course we made it happen. We went back, we got the balloons. I don't remember what we did, how we did it, but we had a package on the air and we made it happen. And it's kind of like an incredible omen. Like, if you really have the passion to do it and you really have the will, like Lynn Martinez, if you really have the will, you're going to make it happen, because look where we are today. After all these years, let's see where I was. After all these years, he has had so many accolades. Well, soon after Dynamic Cablevision, Helga Silva hired him to be the weekend editor at Univision 23, and from there it was just to the moon. We're talking 60 nominations for Emmys. He has 36 statuettes, and all the ones that obviously he didn't win that he deserved. Let's be honest. Let's be honest, that does happen. He is so deserving of this Silver Circle. If I could sum up Mandy's career in one word, it would be excellence. And I think all of you who know him, so many of you know him from the streets, as I like to say, know that this is absolutely true. But he can't help it. He can't help it. He's a perfectionist. Honestly, that's how he is. He's going to be awesome at everything he does. He cooks. He's good. He's such a great chef. Aren't you so good? He's good at everything he does. Seriously, he's a Virgo. You guys know anything about that? He's a Virgo, perfectionist. You can't help it. He's a perfectionist, and that's also gotten him into a lot of trouble because he fights with everybody. Or, somehow they always have like some kind of, we never really fought though. But I know you're going to hear it in the tape. I'll talk about the fighting because he has a strong head. His work has entertained our audience. It has made them laugh. It has exposed fraud that have led to changes in the Florida legislature. It has elevated reporters and cameramen that he has worked with. I am so grateful to the Academy for recognizing Armando Pico for his relentless search for perfection in his craft, for bringing important stories to the people, and for all he does to encourage, empower, and inspire other journalists.
He was supposed to have a music career, but that's not what was written in the stars.
So I kind of got into this business by mistake. I was in a band, we were recording some songs, and I really wanted to become a sound engineer.
Destiny had a different plan. After a short internship at Dynamic Cablevision, where he did studio camera, he got a big break at WLTV Univision 23.
Su noticiero número uno.
He knew he had top talent, and he was a cocky guy. I liked that. Someone who was willing to, spread his wings and challenge a little bit of how things were done. I like that about him a lot.
20 plus years of working with Mandy at Univision, an incredible career together and an incredible career that I saw develop and blossom from a young Spielberg, as we called him, to someone who has now, I think, amassed 36 Emmy Awards and 60 nominations. So that's not a bad career so far.
Roger, make sure you document everything.
The one that I'll never forget is we followed the flotilla all the way up to the border with Cuba, and then the international waters. We had Cuban MiGs flying around our plane, threatening to knock us down. That's when the Cuban gunboats, they rammed the Democracia ship, which is the mothership of that flotilla, and I was able to capture those images from the air, and then they were in the front page of the Herald the following day.
He chased down Fidel Castro and came face to face with the Cuban dictator and Venezuela's Hugo Chavez.
One of the trips that I really enjoyed was the royal wedding in Spain. Although we couldn't be inside the actual ceremony, as the motorcade with the prince and the princess of Spain right after the wedding, we're going right by the window, and we timed the stand-up perfectly. We had to get in one take and being able to get that shot, that was great.
Desde la calle o desde balcones como este.
What a great honor to congratulate you on this very special award that you're receiving, the Silver Circle Award. That's given to people like you that have dedicated at least 25 years to the TV industry in South Florida. Wow, you joined the ranks of so many incredible professionals, and you joined these ranks because of your professionalism, your determination, your quality of work, which is incredible. You're the best of the best, and I am so lucky to have been a witness to that.
It was our first time working together. After I voiced over the package, I said to him, I'm gonna go upstairs and wait for the council vote. Before you send the package to the station, let me see it. When I came downstairs to do the live shot after the vote, he had already sent the package to the station. And I'm like, where's the package? Can I see it? He goes,
The story's fine, I already sent it.
what do you mean you sent it?
Trust me, I know what I'm doing. I sent it, it's fine. She's like,
Well, I told you I wanted to see it. Let me see it. He reluctantly played it, and I was like, oh my God, he's so good. It's perfect.
I will throw these random ideas and I will tell him that I saw this and I wanted to make it happen, and somehow he never said no. He always made it happen, and just the way he executes his art, his projects, his work, it's amazing. And I think anyone who's had the honor to work alongside with him has been changed forever, professionally and also personally.
Every time we had an undercover shoot, I would present my ideas to him, and he would first tell me that I was crazy, that it was impossible. Then he'd find a way to make it happen. Pico elevated my game as an investigative reporter and showed me the power of great teamwork.
One of the things I'm very grateful to Pico for is for basically bringing my stories to life. He always elevated all my work to a completely different level. I was always congratulated for the work that I did, and I would always remind them, listen, that was just part of it. If you would see the person who was behind it, who brought everything to life, he deserves the credit.
Señor Juan, ¿por qué corre?
We spent 7 years, some days laughing, some days fighting, some days running behind people that we were investigating.
Okay.
I remember this guy punching you and you were running, trying to protect me. I really appreciate that. I feel grateful because I had the opportunity to work with you.
The road to greatness is often bumpy. It could also lead to trouble.
I remember that we fought a lot.
Yeah, I remember that.
But I remember that at the end, when I would look at the final product, I would always smile.
Mandy was a perfectionist.
Attention to detail.
You can always count on Armando to do anything, any type of work, be it a studio, be it a production on the street. You are one of the most talented and one of the most deserving person of this award. Congrats, Mandy.
Congratulations, Armando. I love you so much.
Well deserved, and I'm very, very happy for you.
I want to congratulate you for this lifetime of extraordinary achievements, Pico, and thank you for letting me be part of this journey. Felicidades.
Very proud of the career he's built. Happy for the family he's built. You truly deserve it, my friend. Congratulations.
I love you, Papi.
Thank you for taking care of us all. You mean a lot to us. Congratulations for your awards. Bye, Bobby.
I don't know, sometimes it's good to be last, but it's... Wait a second. Oh, those lights are blinding me. Oh. Alrighty then, I know everybody wants to go watch the Heat game, so I'll try to be brief. First of all, I want to thank Sandra Peebles, Carlos Barkin, who helped shoot some of the story, and David Gonzalez for putting this amazing story together. As we say in Miami, David, te la comiste. That's all I can say. So, yeah, I should confess that I tried having ChatGPT write my speech today. So if it doesn't come out good, you can blame AI, okay? Just kidding. No, but I do have to say, my wife did, she's a TV anchor, thank God, because I'm behind the camera. So she did look through it, so fix a few typos. Anyway, Sandra, who better than you to present me with this great honor? You're not only an amazing journalist, a storyteller, a great friend, but you're also the first reporter I ever went out with to shoot a story. And who could forget that day? I know you told part of the story, but it was from your point of view. That comes from my point of view. It was a Saturday morning in 1992. Sandra and this little 21-year-old rookie who had never turned on an ENG camera in his life. I only do studio camera. And as you saw in the video, I was a musician in a band. I did a few music videos. That's about it. We got sent to cover a press conference at MIA from Pat Buchanan, presidential candidate. So it was my first assignment. I'm with a reporter, and I was a nervous wreck. A little bit like now, but even worse. So my hands were shaking so much that I didn't realize, and I double tapped on the record button during the press conference. We got back to the studio, and I didn't have anything. Zero. Okay? I didn't have a single shot of the press conference, but I had a bunch of people's feet everywhere, and it's like, so when I thought I was recording, I wasn't, and then stop recording, and then, so, really bad. I panicked, but to my surprise, Sandra was like super calm. She's like, don't worry about it, we're gonna make it happen. I'm like, how the hell are we gonna make it happen? We have nothing. So she picked up the phone, made a few phone calls. This is before cell phones, so it must have been a studio phone. And I don't know how she did it, but we got some footage and we put something on the air. I don't know how, but anyway. So I want to thank Sandra for not throwing me under the bus that day, because that would have been the end of my career. Like 6 months career, but anyway. So little by little, I gained a little more experience. A few months later, I was able to land a photojournalist job at Univision WLTV. So I want to thank Chief Photographer Carlos Corrales and the assignment news director at the time, Helga Silva, who just left, but she was here a little while ago, for believing me and seeing that potential that I couldn't even see in myself at the time. For the next couple of years, I watched and tried to learn from the best in this market. I would watch resume tapes from photojournalist giants such as Carlos Regal, Ralph Morciano, and our very own Carlos Corrales. I wanted to perfect my craft. I just didn't know how to take my work to the next level. One day, a colleague asked me if I could help judge some Emmy entries from another market. I had to judge approximately 20 entries in the photography and editing category. I was blown away by the photography, editing skills, and the use of music by one particular photojournalist from a Texas NBC affiliate. I made copies of his entries, which I wasn't supposed to, by the way. And I watched them again and again and again. The tape had like glitches by the time I was done. It was at that moment that I said to myself, this is what I want to do. Thanks to NATAS for this award. I feel honored to be in the same group as so many other outstanding, talented professionals. I also want to thank the many friends and colleagues that put their trust in me and allowed me to work in compelling stories that matter to our viewers. To my news directors, such as Helga Silva, Emilio Marrero, thank you for entrusting me with numerous hard-hitting stories. Also, a big thank you to former entertainment reporters like Roger Borges and Pamela Silva you saw, who gave me the creative freedom to make countless stories sizzle. It's been an honor to have also worked with seasoned journalists and anchors such as Sandra Peebles, Alina Mayoase, and Guillermo Benitez, which, by the way, he and I won our first Emmy Award together. But perhaps the most challenging and intense role that I ever performed during my tenure at Channel 23 was being part of the investigative unit. Many of the stories that we broke and fraudulent schemes that we exposed won Emmy Awards. However, the most rewarding part of this was the positive impact that those stories had in our community. Lorna Virgili, you were the first investigative reporter that I worked with. Thank you for your bluntness, as you saw on the tape, and unfiltered advice. Miriam Masihi, you're not only an amazing storyteller, but your great sense of humor made our long days so much better. And then came Erika Carrillo, which many of you know, my work wife during the last 8 years at Channel 23. We uncovered so many frauds and political scandals that almost every single politician in South Florida got nervous just seeing us, mostly her. Your relentless pursuit for the truth brought justice to so many who didn't have a voice. I thank you for making me a better journalist during this process. To my fellow photographers, thank you all for your support throughout the years. You've all contributed to my success. David, thank you again for putting this amazing story together. You actually made me look good, man. That's not easy. I also want to mention that David and I won a lot of the Emmys that I won them with David. So thank you for that, brother. Last but not least, I want to thank my family for their support and for being my #1 fans. My dad, who's no longer with us, he was an opera singer. And he encouraged me to, at a very early age, to study music and would even drag me to the opera. If it wasn't for my passion for music and for the arts, I wouldn't be here right now. I also want to thank my mom, who not only helped me pay for my student loans, but was also a great example of hard work and sacrifice. And to my wife, Andrea, thank you for always being there for us and for our girls. There were many times that I wasn't around as much due to my long days and long special assignments. She's also a news anchor, and we all know how challenging it is to raise kids with both parents are in the news business. I love you. As many of you know, I left the news business almost a year ago when I accepted a position as a senior content creator at Wall Marketing, an advertising and marketing firm. It was not an easy decision that I took lightly, considering that I have been at Univision for 29 years. But now I get to produce commercials for some of the biggest brands in South Florida. It's something that I always dreamed of. And I get to work now with Lori Jennings every once in a while. Although I miss my TV friends and former colleagues and the occasional news adrenaline rush, I do tell you, I don't miss working hurricanes. Especially Wilma with Arlie. I don't miss getting pushed, shoved, knocked down during Little Havana protests, or camping outside TGK for hours in the middle of July, waiting for a high-profile inmate to bond out. And hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, for the first time, I can celebrate with pots and pans at La Carreta on Bird Road instead of going live from the top of a live truck when the Heat win the NBA Finals. Go Heat! Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Armando. The Gold Circle recognizes individuals who have worked with distinction in the television industry for 50 years or more, a portion of which was done within the Suncoast Region of the State of Florida, the State of Louisiana, the mobile Alabama-Pensacola, Florida television market, and Puerto Rico. It is my pleasure to introduce our next presenter, Jeff Barnes, President Final Cuts, Hollywood, Florida.
Okay, what's that, Carla? I got 30 seconds? Great, thanks. So, first of all, we're still in the afternoon, great. So, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here, and I always see this as, I'm really happy to be here because there's a lot of faces I haven't seen here, and I still can't see you because of the lights, but I haven't seen you for years, it seems like, and the only place I have not worked in this market is Channel 23. I worked everywhere else, and so because of that, I get to see a lot of you that I know, and I'm very grateful to be able to reconnect with you today, and it's a pleasure to be here. But the real reason that I'm here is because of my dad, Billy Barnes, and so for those of you that don't know Billy Barnes, he has been in the business now at WSVN for over 50 years. and I was able to present as well at his Silver Circle Award presentation. And so, Craig, thank you very much for honchoing this. I got a call from Craig about a little over a week ago saying, "Hey, do you have a video? Do you have what do you names? You need this." He just got selected. All right, so let me go back to my storage facility and see if I can find that original video I made 20 years ago, because that pretty much sums it up for most of his career. And you will see that coming up shortly. And also like to thank Jill Beach for coming down from her home in Lake Worth. And it's great to see you, Jill. And thanks for coming to help honor Dad. Yeah, I know. Craig's been he's like the guy that makes things happen around here. And do you realize, I just want everyone to take a second, take 10 seconds, take 30 seconds, to really think about the history that is in this room. I'm not saying we're old. I'm just saying there's a lot of experience in this room, okay? And me being in this market for as long as I've been, and seen the things I've seen and done the things I've done. Yes, I've done the hurricanes, I've done all those things as well, and I don't miss those at all. But what I do miss is the people, and I miss, and I know that my dad at Channel 7, he's seen history walk in and out the doors at WSVN for many decades, whether that's talent, management, production people, and those people that have worked in the studio and in the newsroom are people that he's helped to mentor and move on to bigger and better things, or if they really feel like it, they could be like him and stay in the studio for many years. But he has not only mentored them, but mentored me. I remember, I'm going to tell you a little story. There was this one day, I remember like it was yesterday, I was sitting in the back of a Gran Torino, driving with my mom and dad in the front seat, and we're passing by the airport on the 836. And he says, "So Jeff, what do you want to do when you grow up?" And I go, "I want to be like you." And he's like, no. He's like, "You don't want to do what I do." He's like, "Why don't you go be an airplane pilot or something?" I'm like, "No, I like what you do." And back in the day when you had a little more freedom to take your kids somewhere, there would be days where I'd be coming along in a live truck, and and of course, we've all seen the days we go from film to beta to M2 to DVC Pro to HD and beyond, and going from live trucks to live view. So for me, in this day and age, I get to look back and say, man, I got to see what the first live trucks looked like. And Dad got to work on what was called the Instacam. And you'll see a little picture of that in the video that we're going to see. But the Instacam was basically a bread truck with a crane put on top of it with a massive dish that, of course, back then there was no OSHA rules, so you just could click and turn on the radiation and hopefully get that signal going in there somewhere. And that he was in the forefront of, we had Channel 4, you had the Live Eye, Channel 7, you had the Instacam. And he was at the forefront of making live shots happen. And so, don't worry, Lynn, even back then we had, it was time for going live. Back then you didn't even know if you could be able to get that live shot in or not, but you just kind of fake it till you make it back then, right? So he really had the beginnings of live television, and the people that he's had the experience with in the field, in the studios, and I know a lot of people here at the Channel 7 tables know Dad very well, and he has really become, and Bernie Rose has been mentioned here. I remember Bernie back in my days at WTVJ, another great mentor, and the patriarch basically of WTVJ. My dad has been the patriarch now at WSVN. And people, when they come in, they know, if I say They don't know me, on the street, but I say, oh, my dad is Billy Barnes. Billy Barnes? Oh my gosh, I know him from way back when. Or they have some great stories about Billy in the studio, or Billy in the field, or Billy in the control room, or Billy falling asleep at the teleprompter because the stories are so boring. But he's experienced it all, and he's probably, I don't know, can anyone tell me, is he first in seniority now at the station? Because he's probably been there longer than anybody else at this point. But a lot of that and someone will ask, well, why are you going to work at this place for so long? And it's because he's got a passion. He doesn't know anything else but his family at home and his work. Now, some people say, well, that's kind of sad, but no. He's got a passion for the news business. He's had the passion since he was a kid to do this. And his passion has not waned in his many, many years. And I don't know when it's going to wane. And that's the reason why, he's going to work tomorrow. Tomorrow's Monday, and he will be back at work tomorrow. And the question always is in our family is, hey, so when's Dad going to retire? And he's like the Tom Brady of television. So there may be a time where he goes, I'm thinking about maybe February. We'll be talking about. Oh no, it's June. It's gone. So that's kind of a running joke going on along in our family is when's Dad's going to retire. But WSVN is his family. You guys are his family. Going to 79th Street Causeway, even though it's a pain in the ass to go there and leave there. And in fact, wasn't there just a crash on 79th Street Bridge the other day? You couldn't even get in or out? Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine what kind of nightmare that is. But going to work, and 79th Street is his second home. It's home in North Dade, home at 79th Street. And you have a bed there? Because and it really is. It really is his home, and I don't know what his end game there will be, but we may just need to build a little room in the back so he can just kind of come in on his own, and just say, hey, Billy's here, But saying that, we'll never know what that day is until he decides. But when he does, we know that he's led a life of just giving to the news community and being there not only for his coworkers and for the people that have come to, I can't say really before him anymore, but come after him. And whether that, the day decides to be tomorrow or, 5 years from now, who knows? But he will continue to have that passion as he continues to be at Channel 7, be that figurehead, that patriarch at WSVN. So that being said, let's just see a little history of Billy Barnes.
In over 50 years, Billy Barnes has become a legendary cameraman. People still want to work with him. You name the sport, he's seen it. You name the event, he shot it. Name the celebrity, he's met him. In fact, Billy's probably spent more time behind the camera than anybody in the Miami market today. When Billy was a kid, he loved taking pictures. He was so fascinated with television. At 12 years old, he built his own studio out of cardboard. At 15, he started making movies with an 8mm film camera. From Opelika, Billy graduated Edison High School and Lindsay Hopkins Technical School in 1962. He got his first job with the University of Miami, shooting professors' lectures. Soon, he went over to WTHS Channel 2, where he was part of the production crew shooting local programs. In 1965, Billy left what he loved to serve his country in the Army. After serving 2 years, he returned to Miami to begin his full-time career at then WCKT-TV, now WSVN. Billy worked in the studios and in the field as a production technician. He helped put on the air shows like Empty Graves and The Sunday Funnies. 30 years ago, the networks relied on local cameramen to produce their remotes. Billy's first claim to fame was 1971, in what Don Shula has always said was the best football coverage he'd ever seen. The AFC Championship game between the Baltimore Colts and the Miami Dolphins won Billy his first national Emmy. After that, doing remotes from the field captivated Billy's imagination. He signed up for any job: baseball, football, soccer, hockey, boxing, swimming, golf, gymnastics. If something could be put on television, Billy Barnes wanted to be part of it. That included the Today Show, Super Bowls, the Stanley Cup, and in 1988, his first Olympics, before the days of Dream Team. Seoul is where Billy Barnes won his second national Emmy for basketball. Now, Billy's work hasn't been all fun and games. During the Miami Grand Prix, his camera was hit by a car. Even though the handle cracked his rib, he kept on working until the ambulance came to pick him up. His TV home has always been Channel 7. He worked the station's first live truck, was on the first Instacam field crew, and he was assigned to Skycam 7, Miami's first full-time news helicopter. Even today, after countless managers, anchors, reporters, and producers have walked in and out of the 79th Street Causeway studios, Billy Barnes has always been there behind the camera to make sure the show always went on. It's not just his work ethic. He loves and cares for everyone he comes into contact with. Somehow, through the last few decades, Bill Barnes has kept a passion for his work, a smile on his face, and Channel 7 News on the air.
All right, he says it's going to be 60 seconds over. So.
Getting late. My notes here. Can't see them. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thanks to the other winners that got their awards today. That's a great job. Good speech. Good speeches. I'd like to thank the Suncoast Chapter of the Board of Directors for this award. It's a great honor. Thank you very much. A person can only be as good as the people around him. And I've been around some great talents and great crews. And the men and women at Channel 7 have been a part of my life for over 50 years now. And it's great to have the privilege to be with such professionals. And I'm not a very good speaker. Thanks to Mr. Andy Anson and Mr. James Anson for their support, and all the people at Channel 7 that work there. They're great people to work for, great, my second family, of course. And for the freelance people I work with for years, I thank them for the work they've done and helped me out in a lot of ways. And thanks to my son for putting this video together. He's got good talent. He's a great guy. He always does good work. And to I'm happy to have my daughter-in-law here with me today, with my grandchildren, Grace, Leah, and Justin. Happy to have them with me this afternoon. And to my wife, Denise, thank you for being by my side for all these years and staying home when I work Sundays and weekends and hurricanes and holidays and everything else. Thank you for being by my side all these years. Thank you very much. Keep it short. Gotta keep it short.
Congratulations, Billy. Well deserved. Well, thank you all for a lovely afternoon. This is one of my favorite events every year because it is like listening to your stories of success and how you all got started always reminds me and makes me proud to know this is what we do, what we love to do. So congratulations to all the honorees again. And I really would like to thank Carla McDonald, our executive director. Woo! Her husband Wayne, Stacy Panson, Victor Fernandez, and the NATA staff for helping to make the event a reality. We hope you all have a memorable afternoon. And now we'd like to invite all the honorees up here for a big shot with everybody. Thank you.